Hey everyone, it's Wayfy! So for this video, I want to talk about another classic on the NES, and that's the great DuckTales. This game holds the distinction of being the very first retro game I ever bought. I saw DuckTales on Toon Disney back in the day, and while it's not a show I have a ton of memories with, it was a show I enjoyed whenever it came on. As a kid, I loved adventure, so that show was right up my alley. I was already familiar with Scrooge McDuck and the triplets Huey, Dewey, and Louie, so it was really cool seeing them travel the world, fighting bad guys, and finding treasure. It reminded me of Indiana Jones, which is appropriate because the title DuckTales is in the same font as Indiana Jones. So like any popular property, a game was bound to be made. In this case, the game was made by Capcom, who you might recognize as the developer for Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and Mega Man, just to name a few. Back then, they had a partnership with Disney and made several games based on their properties, including DuckTales. Capcom had a reputation of being a pretty solid developer for the NES. If you saw Capcom on a game, it's most likely to be good. Did this game live up to that reputation? Is this a game worthy of the DuckTales name? Let's find out! Please don't be as hard as Batman. Okay, that's a pretty good 8-bit rendition of the DuckTales theme song. The title screen is straightforward. You have 3 difficulties to pick from: the legal stuff, Scrooge winking at you, and there is no intro movie if you let it sit for a bit. After you select a difficulty, you're immediately brought to Scrooge and the triplets sitting at the supercomputer, and we have a coloring error. Huey and Louie are colored correctly, while Dewey is also green when he should be blue. From here, you can select which stage you want to play, so you can play them in any order, which is cool. Being a side-scrolling platforming action game, you use the D-pad to move left and right, as well as duck. Duck. The A button jumps, the B button whacks things with your cane. To whack things, you walk up to an object, hold the D-pad in the direction of it, you'll see Scrooge wiggle his little tail feathers, and then press the B button, and Scrooge will whack it like he's playing golf. But you can't launch everything. You'll see Scrooge's eyes shake if you hit something you can't launch away. And let's not forget the iconic pogo stick move. To do this, you jump, then hold down on the D-pad and hold the B button. You can let go of the down button, but don't let go of the B button or you'll cancel the move. This can be used to defeat enemies, destroy objects, bounce across dangerous surfaces, and it's a lot of fun to boot. But I will admit that needing to hold down on the D-pad and then pressing the B button to pogo feels kind of awkward. I would have liked it better if the game let you pogo by just pressing the B button while in the air. It would have felt much more natural. The graphics in the game are quite impressive for an NES game. The designs of the levels and enemies you come across really make you feel like you're playing through the DuckTales cartoon and keep things fresh as you're always facing something new in each stage. But I will admit that in the stages after the Amazon stage, navigation can be kind of difficult because the stages become more large and have more routes to take. But there isn't much to differentiate different parts of the stage you're in. Yeah, some of the level design is different, but the scenery details remain the same. It's going to take a couple of playthroughs for you to learn the stages and what route leads where so you can collect as much as you can. I would have considered Scrooge wearing a red coat a coloring error, but he wore a red coat in the comics that inspired the show, so perhaps that's what Capcom was going for? But in the end screen of the game, they got Scrooge's coat back to blue. Programming confusion? The music is... oh my gosh, the music is great! Aside from the theme song, the rest of the game's music is very well done. Some tracks are more memorable than others. The Amazon stage's music particularly stands out to me as it's just a modified version of the DuckTales theme. But the other music all suit their respective stages, keeping things upbeat and fun. But the Moon Stage's song is considered one of the best pieces of video game music for a reason. I mean, just listen. So beautiful. I could literally feel the heart behind it. I may not be from the generation this game came from, but that's some pretty music. And it's for a DuckTales game! A game primarily intended for children. I love seeing people go above and beyond like that for them. Like when an artist makes beautiful illustrations for a children's book. It just warms my heart. So the goal of the game is to collect as much money as possible, reach the end of each level, defeat its boss, and collect the legendary treasure in each one. Now that would be all fine and good, but the interesting thing about this game is the number of secrets it has. Even from just moving around, you'll find diamonds randomly appearing from just walking, jumping, and pogoing. Along the way, you'll find chests to break open. Within the chests, you'll find things such as, again, diamonds that will add to your wealth, health pickups that come in the form of ice cream and cakes, ice cream fills 1 point of health, and cakes fill all of your health. You'll find magic coins that will give you temporary invincibility, and Scrooge dolls that will give you extra lives. You'll also find hidden rooms. They are mostly in the Transylvania and the African mine stages, which are 2 of the largest stages in the game. When you get to certain spots in these levels that look like you can't do anything, you'll see you can walk right through some walls, or chests appearing forming platforms. So with the diamonds, chests, and hidden rooms to find, just go all over and see what you can find. You'll also run into various characters from the show. Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webbigail will tell you about what's ahead and little hints. Like when Webby tells you about Huey being held up by a Beagle Boy who's wearing white when he should be in red. And when you talk to Huey, he'll give you a hint about being able to walk through some walls. However, there is a hint that always struck me as useless. In the Amazon stage, you'll find Dewey who's actually in his correct color of blue, and he'll tell you about using your cane to defeat the bosses. I mean, you've already attacked a bunch of things with your cane at that point, so of course you're gonna use your cane when fighting the bosses. Then there's Launchpad McQuack, Scrooge's pilot. When you see him in stages and talk to him, he'll ask you if you want to fly back to the mansion. I don't understand why this is a feature. Maybe it's for when you want to start the level over so you can get all the treasure in it before getting to the boss? Because when you beat the boss in the stage you're in, you can't replay that stage without needing to restart the game. Some might get a use out of Launchpad, but I ignore them. You run into Mrs. Beakley during the African mine stage, where she gives you a health refill. It's the only time she appears in the game. And characters like Bubba Duck and Gizmo Duck make small appearances in the Himalayas and the Moon stages. When you say Bubba, he shows you a secret treasure that increases your health permanently with 1 extra point. And when you collect Gizmo's remote control during the Moon stage, he will blow up a wall so you can continue the level and confront the boss. Compared to the previous game I played being Batman on NES, I'm happy to say that DuckTales is nowhere near as hard, and I'm not just saying that because I'm playing on easy. Believe me when I say, even on easy I had to play through this whole game a couple of times. Old games like this have a learning curve. While Batman really frustrated me, I actually really enjoyed DuckTales' gameplay. The upbeat music, the level design, and fun pogo mechanics make going through each stage a joy. But the moment that sticks out is this part where you find this duck statue who says you have to pay $300,000 for a platform to show up and bring you to the top of the stage. When I first played this as a kid, I was confused. Was I supposed to go back and grind through the stage till I had that amount of money? Are you serious? Thankfully, you don't have to. Here's what you do instead. You let one of those spear-throwing enemies into the section with you, pogo off of them, and press up on the control pad, and boom! You're climbing up the vine to the rest of the stage. Them putting that toll there was likely just misdirection. You could pay that thing if you want to, but why would you when you can get up there easily for free? Now that's thinking like Scrooge. The boss is this statue dude, and he's pretty easy. Just pogo on him a few times, and once he's defeated, you collect what's called the Scepter of the Incan King. Next up, we're at the Transylvania stage. You'll find enemies like these skeletons who run back and forth and break apart, and also mummies chained to a ball that you can use to defeat them, and ghosts which you can't fight at all and have to avoid. The enemies respawn, but they aren't hard, thank goodness. Aside from walking through walls to secret rooms, you'll notice mirrors around. Each mirror you walk through will also take you to secret rooms. It's very easy to get confused with where you are and how you got there, as again, the scenery doesn't change much. So it's important to memorize where things are so you don't end up at the final boss fight without collecting everything you can. And this is the part that tripped me up. You'll find mining carts in this level. While in them, you'll need to duck under from obstacles and also jump out of them before they fall out of the stage. Needing to push the A button before that happens takes some practice. I lost a lot of lives during these parts, hence why I had to play this game multiple times. But once you collect everything you can, including the health upgrade, you then face off against Magica Dispel, a bit more challenging than the statue dude. After she's defeated, you collect the Coin of the Lost Realm. When you first enter the African mine stage, don't even bother collecting anything, as when you run into Louie, he'll tell you you'll need a key to continue the stage, and that it's in Transylvania. You'll be brought back to Transylvania, and to find the key, enter the first mirror you come across and it will take you to the secret room. And when you destroy this big chest, you'll collect the key and then go into the other mirror, be brought back to the supercomputer, and then select the mines again, and now you can continue with playing. Why they felt the need to add this detour, I'll never know. You could just get the key before coming to this stage, but it won't let you enter the mirror until after you first visit the mines. But anyhow, you'll find enemies like slugs, cute little bats that dive at you, these ducks from the Black Lagoon, and many different secrets to find, and paths to take. Again, this is the kind of game where a map will be useful as it's easy to get lost. There are alternate paths to take when going through it, which helps avoid obstacles like this big boulder. But sometimes you might go through a path, and once you do, you can't go back to that previous part of the level. With all the different paths you can take, and secret rooms to find, this game has some serious replayability. It's obvious to me that this game wasn't a mindless cash grab. They really took their time in making these levels interesting, and I very much appreciate that. But I want to point out this part here. You see Huey, Dewey, and Louie in this car. You jump inside and go through the motions, and then you jump out and see your 3 precious nephews perish. Talk about throwing the baby bird out of the nest and hoping they can fly. The final boss is this King Slug dude. He's pretty easy. Just jump over him when he rolls around, and pogo on him a few times, and like that he's defeated, and you collect the next piece of treasure, the giant diamond of the inner earth. Next up is the Himalayas. This stage is kind of tricky. For one, you can't pogo in the snow as Scrooge will just get stuck. But with some practice, this stage isn't too bad. Slipping around on the ice can be annoying, as when you jump off of the ice and onto a non-ice surface, Scrooge will still slip a bit. And like the previous stages, there are loads of alternate paths and secrets to find, and Bubba Duck. But the part where you ride on the platform to the final boss, don't duck on it! If you duck, Scrooge will freeze in place and fall off the platform, which looks like it was taken out of Tetris. And the boss Yeti is also not too hard. You pogo on him when he jumps to the center, he'll punch the wall and snowballs fall from the sky, and you have to avoid them. Continue doing this until you defeat him, and you can collect the next piece of treasure, the crown of Genghis Khan. We are now at the final stage, the moon. Now I already gushed about the music here, and I really do love it. I do question why Scrooge and the gang aren't wearing air helmets, but otherwise, this stage is fairly challenging. Now the goal of this level is to collect the key to the UFO, which has Gizmo Duck's remote. You need this to have Gizmo destroy a wall so you can get to the boss fight. Now for a fairly small area, it is possible to get lost unless you memorize where things are. In this part where you enter the space station by jumping onto the rope, I lost a few lives because I kept missing it. So you explore all around and ignore Launchpad, and you find the key here. You then return to the UFO entrance and get Gizmo's remote from these red aliens guarding it. Once you get it, if you try to leave the space station from where you came in, you'll die. Instead, exit the space station from here, and you'll land on these chests that you might have seen at the beginning of the level. And then you jump across to the platform under the rope to the space station and time your jump when the platform is safe to jump on. And then, Gizmo comes to destroy the wall, you go underground and fight several Beagle Boys, and then you face off against this giant rat. Which is kind of tricky to fight when you don't have the timing down, but that's on me. After you defeat him, you collect the last piece of treasure, the green cheese of longevity. You return to the supercomputer, and it says, all land cleared. Yay! We beat the game! Not quite. Your treasure gets taken from you all of a sudden, and then you see this message, telling you if you want your treasure back, then go back to Dracula Duck's manor. You are then brought back to Transylvania for a third time. They must be really proud of this stage. You have to go to where you fought Magica, so just zip past everyone, they aren't worth the trouble, and when you get there, you begin your fight with Dracula Duck. I just love the designs in this game. Fighting him isn't that bad, but it can be tricky. To hurt him, you need to pogo off of the bat he summons when they appear, and pogo on his head. But the thing is, the bat starts off flying low, but then flies up high, or even spawns in a position you can't pogo off them from. So it's all about timing and waiting for bats you can pogo off of and bounce on Dracula's head. You do this for a bit, and like that, Dracula Duck is defeated, but that's still not all. Magica comes back with Scrooge's rival Flintheart Glumgold, and he challenges him to a race to the treasure. Kind of like them racing in the show's intro. This is easy. You climb up the rope and jump to the treasure, and boom, you win! And that's the end of the game. Scrooge jumps up and down, and in mid-jump appears in the newspaper from the Duck Press saying that Scrooge remains the richest duck in the world and collected the 5 legendary treasures, and shows the total amount of money you've collected from your playthrough. There are 3 endings for beating the game. The one I got is for having under $10 million, the best ending is for actually having $10 million, and the worst ending is having $0. How you can get $0 in this game, I'll never know. Nevertheless, the ending I got is still pretty satisfying, with the triplets congratulating Scrooge but reminding him they helped him along the way. And Scrooge agrees, and he says he couldn't have done it without them. And for that, he really is the richest duck in the world. Aww. And that's the end. Overall, this was pretty good. I can see why this game holds such a special place in people's memories. From the music, the visuals, the faithfulness to the source material, the controls, and the gameplay, this really is a great game worthy of the DuckTales name. And enjoyable even if you aren't familiar with DuckTales. Definitely worth getting if you're a retro game collector who's a Disney fan. If you want to get your hands on an NES copy, it's not that pricey. But thankfully, the original cartridge is not the only way to play this game. In 2017, Capcom published the Disney Afternoon Collection. Developed by Digital Eclipse, it's a compilation of Capcom's NES games based on the Disney Afternoon TV block from back in the 90s. It includes DuckTales, its lesser-known sequel DuckTales 2, and 4 other games. I have it on Xbox One, and the collection just oozes 90s. From the menus and the music, I feel like I'm being transported back in time. It has galleries of screenshots and scans of each respective game's box art from both North America and Japan, but they make special care to remove any mention of Nintendo. For example, instead of saying Game Boy, they just say portable version. I understand why this had to be done since this game is on consoles that aren't Nintendo, but still, it feels wrong. Like, it's erasing history. But on the plus side, they give little details about the development of the games and concept art. Damn, even for older games, the process of making them isn't all that different from how they are now. That's cool! And there's a place where you can just listen to the music from the games. You know, I just had to listen to the Moon theme again. And for the games themselves, they seem pretty accurate to me, though I haven't played through DuckTales in its entirety in this collection, so I can't say for sure. I already played the game plenty on NES, and when it comes to old games, I'd rather play the originals if I can. But this being emulation, you can play around with the aspect ratio, the filters, the borders. You can also rewind the game during gameplay at the push of a button. The filters are cool, I guess, but the default filter the game starts off in is good enough for me. I don't care about making the game look old on purpose, and who in their right mind would want to play the game in widescreen? These games were designed in 4x3. I like the borders, but the original aspect ratio I feel is too pushed back. This isn't an arcade game, so the full screen ratio is what I like the best, even if it cuts off the border a bit. Overall, this is a pretty sweet compilation, especially since some of the games included are quite pricey to get the original cartridges of. But the biggest problem I have with this compilation is simply the fact that it was never released on a Nintendo platform, namely the Switch. I tried to look for a reason why that is, and only found people online just as confused and frustrated as me. It's only on PS4, Xbox One, and Windows. My theory is that there are licensing issues between Nintendo and Capcom regarding these games, hence why Nintendo's name is removed and this not being on Switch. Which is such a shame! This would feel right at home on the Switch, and the Switch is my go-to for these kinds of collections since that thing is portable. But with that said, the game plays well on Xbox One. The Xbox One's controller's D-pad reminds me of the Game Boy Advance SPs, and it works well enough. It's still a worthy option if you want to play DuckTales on a modern console, and the bonus content makes it worth having for those from the NES days. The PS5 and Xbox Series X can still download and play PS4 and Xbox One games from their respective digital shops, so by all means check it out, especially when it's on sale. And I can't end this video without at least mentioning the remake DuckTales Remastered, which is such an odd title. I won't say anything about it here as I plan on giving this game its own separate video, so stay tuned for that to hear my thoughts on it when I eventually get that made. So there you have it guys, DuckTales for the NES is an oldie but goodie. Nice. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. I'm so glad this game didn't break me like Batman did. And if you like what you saw, please give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. And I would love to hear any of y'all's memories and tricks and tips when playing DuckTales, and how it compares to the other Disney games from back then, like Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and others. Until next time, take care everyone! Video over.